Welcome to Exploring Santa Cruz, a bi-weekly program on KSQD 90.7 FM, with alternating hosts Jean Kratzer and Matilda Rand. I am Matilda Rand, and today we're exploring some of the programs in our Santa Cruz County Library System. With me are Jen Hooker and Jeanne O'Grady, both from the Scotts Valley Library. And Jen, why don't we start with you? Could you share a little bit about your background and why and how you became part of the Santa Cruz Public Library System?
Of course. My name is Jen Hooker. I have been a librarian for 2 years. I got my master's degree in 2015 in library science, which you do actually have to be a librarian. I moved to Santa Cruz to attend the university as an undergrad. Got my degree in film and digital media, and then attended San Jose State for my master's. I started working for SCPL in 2010, thereabouts, and I worked my way up the ranks, and now I've been a librarian up in Scotts Valley for a year and a half, 2 years, and it's been great so far. I get to do a lot of fun stuff.
Great. How about you, Jeanne?
Well, I've been a librarian for a lot longer than Jen. I got my degree in, I can't remember when, but I moved to Santa Cruz in 1997 to take a job at the Santa Cruz Public Libraries. I was the first youth services outreach librarian, and so when I came here, my job was to develop outreach programs for children and youth in the greater Santa Cruz community. Before that, I was a middle school librarian in Ohio.
Oh, great.
But I grew up in Salinas, so coming back to Santa Cruz, to California, was coming home for me.
Right. So you already mentioned that you've been working, with the community, doing outreach. So what kind of the programs are there in the outreach department? Because I think it's quite large, right? Extensive.
It is. There are lots of things that we do as outreach. We have a bookmobile, which we're on our second bookmobile since I've been here. The new bookmobile arrived in June of 2016, and the previous bookmobile was on the road for 18 years, which was just about, it came just after I came to Santa Cruz. It was already ordered, and it's a big deal to order a bookmobile because you have to have it that suits the terrain that you're going to be driving on, which is difficult in Santa Cruz. There are a lot of windy roads and things like that. It's quite different actually from the first one that I worked on. The other one was more a van-like. This is actually a truck.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And so you go, the bookmobile basically, it says it already, the book is, the books are being brought to people in the community, and you have several stops.
Several, yes. Currently we have 27 stops.
Wow.
And it goes on a rotation of 2 weeks. 4 of those stops are every 2 weeks. The other 4 are what we call library hours, and we go to senior communities and take books into them just like a regular library service, like the bookmobile. We bring them books, we bring them their requests. They can check out books at the library hours. It's for 4 weeks. At the bookmobile, it's for 3 weeks, but we come back every 2 weeks.
That's correct. Yeah. And so, Jen, do you have any involvement with the bookmobile?
I don't have a ton of involvement with the bookmobile itself, but I am a trained rider of our book bike, whose name is Kermit. He's bright green. And Kermit's purpose is to serve closer communities that we aren't reaching by vehicle or individuals who come into the branches. So Kermit goes to farmers markets all over the county. He goes to different festivals and fairs in the downtown area, like Ebb and Flow, or it's involved in all the parades. So this was installed maybe a year ago that we got Kermit officially. And there's a group of people who are capable of writing it, and we fill it up with books, and we take it anywhere we can pedal.
That is great.
And you can also sign up for a library card at Kermit.
Yeah.
Or use your library card that you already have and check it out.
Yeah, it's got all the capabilities. We have Wi-Fi pods that we take with us. We have laptops, iPads, anything that you would need to look up a book, check out a book, we have contained in Kermit.
That's remarkable.
Yeah.
Now, I'm familiar a little bit with the bookmobile because it comes to my senior community. And, it's just on Tuesdays afternoon, it's just for about a half an hour. But it's really a coming together of the people in the community. We have another opportunity to just interact with each other and with Eric and
Dave.
Who are on the bookmobile. And, of course, you happened to...
I don't get to go on the bookmobile anymore, but it was one of the great pleasures of my job when I first started.
Yeah, like I said, it's a community building for us in the community, and of course, people read more books. And then what I notice is that at some point, either Eric or Dave takes a bag with some books in it, and then I thought, oh, where are they going? Anyway, they went to one of my neighbors who, has a hard time coming to the bookmobile. I mean, the bookmobile comes to people who have a hard time going to the library, but even then, they take a bag with books that somebody had ordered and actually take it to the home.
That's right, and that's called our Book Buddy program. Mm-hmm. We generally have volunteers who are selecting books and taking them out to homebound patrons, and they do that generally on a once-a-month basis. But so if you're interested in volunteering for the library, that's a possibility. You can call the volunteer office or go onto our library website and get information about volunteering. And that's not the only volunteer opportunity that the library has. We have a lot of volunteer opportunities.
We'll take volunteers for just about anything. We love our volunteers. We have at least 100 volunteers throughout the system, anywhere from cleaning bookshelves to shelving books to helping us with programs, and we're always looking for new volunteers. So if you like working with kids, if you like doing arts and crafts, if you like just spending some time in the garden. We have gardens at some of our libraries that need tending, so really anything that you might be interested in.
If you just tuned in, you are listening to KSQD Santa Cruz 90.7 FM and online ksqd.org. This program is called Exploring Santa Cruz, and I'm your host, Matilda Rand. With me are Jen Hooker and Jeanne O'Grady from the Scotts Valley Library. We just learned about some of the outreach programs the Santa Cruz County Library System offers the community. Any stories you want to share of interactions you had either on the bookmobile? The bookmobile goes to schools too, camps. I think they're going to go to some of the camps.
Some of the summer camps. Not actually. Well, we used to go to schools occasionally because often the communities or the actual schools don't have libraries or they don't have library staff. But more often than not, we go to community centers and neighborhood locations, and it's the neighborhoods and the communities that we meet most of our children patrons. I used to go to Neary Lagoon with the bookmobile, and that involved not only the kids coming out to the bookmobile and checking out books, but the library got involved with their homework center there, and we were able to offer them books that they could keep in the center for the kids to use for homework help. We also have deposit collections at a variety of places where the bookmobile doesn't go, mostly preschools, where the teacher or the people who are handling the program give us a list of things that they would like to be studying in the next month or two, and we'll pull books for that and take them, and they keep them at the center so that the children have access to them and the teachers have access to a wider variety of materials than they would normally have in a in a child care center.
And how do those kids respond?
They love it. I mean, it's an opportunity for them to use that as many of the centers that we go to, not necessarily with deposit collections, are involved in a program called Raising a Reader, and they have book bags that the parents check out once a week for, I think, 12 weeks, and then to get them used to borrowing books and reading books at home and working on their early literacy things. And then when they graduate from that program, they bring the kids to the library, and we do a Raising a Reader visit with all the young kids, and this is preschool children. And they, at that point, they get their library card, and they get another book bag, a different color book bag that's theirs to take home and use when they come back and forth to the library. And when I used to work at the Live Oak branch, there were a whole bunch of kids who came in, older kids, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, who came in with their little blue Raising a Reader book bag, and they were still using it. They'd gotten their library card when they were in preschool, and they were still using that bag.
That's cute.
And that also, of course, helps to keep the books.
That's where they keep their library books, exactly. Because
Now, Jeanne, you work with CCF.
Yeah.
Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, so CCF is our County Correctional Facilities Program. That was started maybe 2 years ago, right after I started working as a librarian. And what that is sort of an extension of the library hour that Jeannie talked about. So we take a collection of books, and it started at the main correctional facility downtown, and we take maybe 8 crates of books that we've selected, and we take them into the jail. And we sign the incarcerated individuals up for library cards if they don't already have library cards, and they can check out books, just like a regular browsing collection. That was very popular when it started, because up until then, the reading material in the facilities was pretty much a bunch of raggedy paperbacks that had been in there since the 80s. And we were able to bring more relevant, more updated materials to them.
Do they request?
Yes, so they can request items, and there aren't any limitations as far as the type of material they can request. So whether it's self-help books or religion or spirituality or cooking or anything. And that program was so popular, we extended it to the Roundtree facility out near Watsonville. And that is a lesser security facility, so they have a little bit more maneuverability within the facility. And we also have, out of that came a reading group in the facilities. So both Maine and Roundtree had their own...
The inmates or the incarcerated people themselves organized themselves?
No, so this was something that we brought into them. One of our librarians who's very involved with this community, she got a training from a grant that she wrote, and she takes short stories into the facility. They have a group of inmates who, if they want to participate, can participate. And she reads the stories, or they take turns reading the stories, and then they discuss the short stories. So I was involved with that program at Maine facility a couple of years ago, and it's still going at Roundtree. So it's been really popular, and it gives a little bit of different perspective in the facility.
Excellent. And does it help them to continue to be readers, possibly even do GED and things like that? Do you see any effects of that?
I think a lot of them are involved in, embetterment programs. Whether or not they have their GED or their high school diploma or any sort of higher education is something they're still interested in. And I think that helps with their release as well, if they're involved in these programs. And then out of the adult facility programs, I was given the opportunity to start a outreach program at the juvenile hall facility in Felton.
Oh, that's terrific. No, I think we have a couple of pictures with you.
Yeah. Because of the sensitive nature of it, we aren't allowed to take pictures inside the facility because they're minors, of course. So we took a few pictures outside. Yeah, we have our library vehicle that we take with us. We do a similar thing to the adult facilities. We load it up with books that we have chosen for patrons. They can make requests just like they could on the outside. And the nice thing is when we give them library cards, once they leave, their library card is available to them anywhere in the county. So they can take it with them and have unlimited access to all library facilities, just like you and I would. So.
And I must say that right after we started doing this, I had a patron come into the library with a raising a reader visit. So it was a mom and a little child, and she had her library card with her, and it was the first time that she'd used it after being released from incarceration. Wow. So she was just, wow, this is so cool, because her little child got a card and she had her card, and they could both check out books.
Yeah, and the juvenile facility has limitations on what we're allowed to bring, and those are imposed on us by the program administrator for the county, not by us, because we don't restrict library materials. But we do work within the confines of that, and we try to bring them, whatever they want as much as they can have. And I've been doing that for more than a year, and I've got to say, it's been interesting to see some of these kids grow and sort of flourish, because they don't have a lot to do when you're, locked up. So that's definitely one of the finer parts of my job, is to do that on a regular basis.
To see that growth.
Yeah.
It touches you.
Yeah.
It does.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You're listening to Exploring Santa Cruz at 90.7 FM KSQD Santa Cruz. I'm your host, Matilda Rand. I'm joined by Jen Hooker and Jeanne O'Grady from the Scotts Valley Library. We're exploring the outreach programs the library system in Santa Cruz County offers to community. Jeanne, I understand you're working with the K-12 outreach program. Is that correct?
I do. The state of California, actually, in California State Library, has a program that we are part of to get library cards to all school-age children in the state. Many of the kids do already have library cards, but they...
Because you caught them at the Raising a Reader.
That's right. Well, even before Raising a Reader, we were doing this, but they haven't used them for a variety of reasons, and one of the reasons that they haven't used them is because they're blocked because of fines. So at these library card extravaganzas, when we go to the school, we do forgive the fines for the ones that haven't. And also, many of them have just a book that they've forgotten to bring back, and that, gets us over the threshold of fines, so their card are blocked. So if we just remind them, we get a lot of those books back.
Yeah.
It's very surprising. Oh, gee, I have that library book at home.
Yeah.
So do you have some forgiving days or something that every once in a while you say, bring your books back? I remember a couple of years ago.
We have in the past. I don't think we have one.
Food for fines.
Food for fines.
In the past, where people can bring in canned or non-perishable goods, and we will waive fines accordingly. I don't think we did it last year, but we've definitely done it quite a few years in a row.
We have done it in the past,
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was pretty smart, because I read in the paper that you got a whole bunch of books back.
We did.
So that was worth it.
Yeah.
And it brought, of course, people back into the library where you want them.
Yeah.
Or, at the bookmobile or Kermit or whatever.
Yeah, and our focus on for the K-12 outreach this year anyway is to get first graders to get library cards, and one of the ways that we're doing that is we're trying to either visit the classroom or have the first grade classes come to the library. And when we have those scheduled visits, we will do a story and tell them about the library. If they're actually in our library branches, we can give them a tour and do a little bit of information about what the kinds of books that they might be interested in getting. And then
Is it mostly books? Do we see a trend of more towards videos and CDs and?
So I don't know if the younger ages are necessarily into renting CDs and DVDs, which we do loan, but we do have a ton of databases that we pay for. So normally if you tried to get access to a certain website, you would hit what's called a paywall. And through the library, if you use your library card, you bypass the paywall because we're the ones paying for it. So they have access to tons of educational resources that they would otherwise not have access to. And I think most of the schools don't have it because they're really expensive.
Yeah.
So if they have their library cards and they're doing a project at school that has a very new topic or a very nuanced topic, instead of not being able to find a book at the library or using a Wikipedia page, they can go into these databases and find citable sources that they need that will give them accurate, up-to-date information.
And anybody who has a library card can use those databases, but it's particularly useful for kids or anybody who's doing research for school.
A lot of us that get a little older, we get certain medical issues, and so do you have medical databases then too?
We do.
Yeah,
That
we
is
have
remarkable.
we have consumer reports. A lot of people like consumer reports, and the physical issues that we get don't always have the information they're looking for. So they can log into consumer reports with their library card. They can create their own comparisons if they're trying to price shop for something. We have medical databases. We have book recommendation databases. We have legal databases. I mean, anything that you could want quality information for, chances are we have access to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right now we have a bunch of middle school students doing reports. They're supposed to do pro and con on topical issues like
The death penalty.
the death penalty. And we have two databases that have that. And you use those, and we do have books, but they're not as up to date as our databases.
Yeah. And we also, we loan a lot of e-content.
Yes.
So if you have a tablet or a computer at home or an iPod or an iPhone or whatever, you can get ebooks and e-audiobooks. You can get TV shows. You can get movies, streaming or downloaded onto your device for a finite period of time. But you have access to all this content on our digital branch.
Yep.
Yeah, for instance, my friend and I, we love to go to the national parks, and so we make a little tour. And then she goes to the library and then loads up a couple of ebooks on her tablet.
Yeah.
So when at night we're, either in a hotel or in our tent, I see her tablet on and she's reading a book. I mean, I bring books because I still like books.
Oh, of course, of course.
But so she brings her tablet, and so that I knew, but I didn't know about the database.
Yeah.
Right.
And so
And the movies as well.
the movie's getting on your tablet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I get the DVDs, but
No, these
see,
are digital.
I need a little education here, so I'm glad
That's why we're here. That's why we're
the
here.
both of you are
Educate
here
the
today.
masses.
Now we have a few minutes left.
Sure.
And so think about something that really struck you in the years and a couple of years that you've worked here that really makes you feel that that's why I am with the Santa Cruz Public Library. Is there an experience that you want to share with all of us?
I think it's not so much a singular experience, but working the desk or working outreach or doing programs and having someone come into you and refer to you by name is a surprisingly moving thing because you're actually bonding with the community. They know who you are and they trust you to provide them with information.
You have tears in your eyes.
I know, I'm getting choked up. That happens when I talk about my work. But yeah, it's so nice to know that you're making a difference to the community.
And I do a lot of work with very young children, and several years ago, I was eating lunch in a Mexican restaurant near the library that I worked with at the time, and I heard this little voice at another table, and she was saying, "That's my librarian." She was telling Grandma and Grandpa and her parents, and I was like, "Aw." That really, I've had several experiences like that, but it just, as Jen says, working with people and making that connection.
And that, of course, is what our program is about, making connections.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly.
You choked up.
Yeah.
And that's good because, to me, I mean, I'm old enough to know, better, but whenever it's Bookmobile Day, I like it.
Yeah.
I am still able to go to the library myself and get on my bike and do that. Mm-hmm. But I just love it when they come. Is because they bring us the books that we requested, but also they bring us together. They bring us together. And the people that are walking with their little, walkers and all that, they are still able to come, and then we help them up the steps into the bookmobile, and they are still reading and absolutely love it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So thank you for all your work you do.
Well, you're very welcome.
Yeah.
We enjoy it.
It's
good,
delightful.
excellent. And thank you at home for tuning in to Exploring Santa Cruz on 90.7 FM KSQD, a bi-weekly program with Jeanne Kratzer and me, Mathilde Rand. Hope you enjoyed meeting Jan Hooker and Jeanne O'Grady of the Santa Cruz Public Library. You can reach me at mrand.exploringsantacruz@ksqd.org. In 2 weeks, your host will be Jeanne Kratzer for Exploring Santa Cruz. Thank you for listening.